Okay, so I'm just gonna start and share what happened yesterday at the end of the class in Jackson. So I'm speaking about Chachma and Emunah and above logic, and we didn't get very far because everyone was like very animated, and um, basically the conversation that we're having is we all know that we inherited from our forefathers, from our avos, a neshama. And in this neshama, the highest point or the deepest point of this neshama is chachma. Chachma, the chachma part of our neshama. And chachma, up until we're learning Tanya, chachma to us is intellect, wisdom, it's like part of the intellectual process. That's what we thought. But all of a sudden we realize that Bina, the level of Bina, is where understanding starts, logic starts, and there's something above logic, which is called Chachma. And although we call great Torah scholars a Talmud Chacham, we don't say a Talmud Navai. A Talmud Navin would be a student who understands very well. We say a Talmud Chacham, because when we're looking for a Talmud Chacham to learn from, it's not just someone who has a lot of knowledge, but it's someone who has bittul, who has humility, who is open to something greater than logic. And that's why the people that we look up to, we call them Talmidei Chacham specifically, but it's not just because of their understanding of Torah. We need leaders who are above logic. So we have this Chachma of our soul in our soul, the highest level of our soul is Chachma, and in Chachma, which is above logic, that is where Hashem's Or Ein Sof, Hashem's infinite light, could rest. And that's the place, where Hashem's infinite light shines within us, within our neshama, in the Chachma part of our soul. Because Hashem is above logic. We can't understand Hashem. So Hashem's infinite light can't rest in Bina. It has to be in Chachma. And the chachma of our soul, that's what gives an ability for a person to actually have mesiras nefesh and give his life for Hashem and serve Hashem in a way that's above logic. That's what we were saying until now. So at the class, we had this conversation, and one of the women said, listen, I have to count how many tomatoes I buy in the store because logically, this is the budget and how, this is the salary, this is the budget, and it has to fit. Everything has to logically fit and make sense. And I was trying to say that, and she was saying that, everything that you're saying is very beautiful, but we're bodies that we're souls inside of bodies. And we're living in this physical, practical world. And in this world, this is my paycheck. And how is she felt so limited, like this is logically, this is the budget, this is how many tomatoes I could buy, and that's the end of the story. And there's no way that I could understand what you're saying, that there's something above logic. The class is over, and one woman says to me, can I speak to you after the class? I said, sure. Everyone else left. And she says to me, I have two children that need a shidduch. I have a son and I have a daughter. And I woke up this morning and I had an idea that I want to give tzedakah to a chassin that's engaged, to someone that could use a chassin that could use the money. So I said, wow. I said, that's so kind of you. And welcome. I said, that's so kind of you, and Hashem Shabenshu, Shavan Shidduchim for your children, anything like that. And I said, it just so happens to be because a couple of weeks ago I was in Bela's house, and another woman after the class asked me, can I speak to you? And I said, sure. And she said, my son's Baruch Hashem engaged, and I have no idea. Hi, Indy. I have no idea how we're going to pay for the wedding. So right there on the spot, I called this woman and I said, "There's another woman here." And said, "Yeah, what should I do?" So I said to her, I said, we were still in chapter 18 of Tanya. I don't know what I was definitely learning this chapter of Tanya. So basically, I said to her, "We have to go to a place of Emunah." She said to me, by the other children, I don't know how many she has married. She felt very connected to Hashem. And everything worked out and all the bills ended up being paid and she didn't go into debt. And she feels now that her muna is a little bit like wavering and she feels like and I said we have to go to a place above logic and turn to Hashem and say, Hashem, this is your child. I'm just partnering with you to raise this child, and Hashem could do anything, and Hashem could provide, and to go to a higher plane, to go to a level of emuna, and not just if you're in the place of logic, then yeah, you could be very worried, but to go above it. Anyway, I called her up and I said, she picked up the phone and I said, there's someone here that wants to give tzedakah for a chassan that could use it. She was overjoyed, over the moon. And then and there, I texted her this person's address and said, can I come right now to pick up the check? $700. And the lady said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go straight home. She's gonna go straight home to be there for when this lady is gonna come to her house to pick up this check." And then she said she's gonna use the check to help pay for the shtreimel for the chassin. And I said, I could talk till I'm blue in the face. What? Oh my gosh. How much do they go for? 6,000. Wow.
No, that's much cheaper.
Are you serious?
Well, they're expensive.
Wow. Wow.
I guess I'm glad when
Funny. My son just went back to yeshiva, so he's wearing an old hat and he wants to take a newer hat. So I said, "Do we take a hat box?" He said, "What do I need a hat box for?" I said, I said, "How else is the hat going to stay good?" He said, "We all have hooks, and each kid has a hook. We put the hat on the hook. There's no hat boxes. Forget about it." I'm like, okay, I know where I know how long that hat's going to last. But anyway, so I said, I could talk to him blue in the face about above logic, above logic, above logic, but you just demonstrated it right here. And so basically, this woman, okay, it's $700, it's not 7,000 or $70,000 or whatever it is, but it just proved that here's a woman sitting in her house, her son's getting married in February, and Hashem put in someone's heart to have to have the generosity and the kindness to want to give to somebody else. And the woman sitting in Lakewood in her house, she doesn't even know, they don't know each other, even though they may have crossed paths or been in the same class here or there. And it's just Hashem, it was just an example. Hashem was showing me and showing that yes, there is something above there is something above logic. What? Maybe, absolutely.
So maybe we should ask them. Maybe not officially GoFundMe, but like to contribute. I'm sure she'll be very grateful.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if she did anything public.
Okay. But she's Bela's very good friend. Bela knows who she is as well. But it was just an example in my face where and she didn't say for a kala. Usually when you think a kala, she specifically wanted to give for a chassin. And it was just Hashem was showing that, you know what, there is something more than just logic. And sometimes we see big miracles, sometimes we see small miracles, but it was just, I was like, Hashem gave the lesson, you know what I'm saying? So we could get stuck on it and we should get stuck on it and argue and debate and whatever, but ultimately we are souls living in bodies in a practical world where we do have to be responsible and make logical calculations and everything like that. But at the end of the day, we could reach we could and we should reach higher. And sometimes, and also whatever, I'm just being like, I was just like, a thought was crossing my mind. I was like, there's so many, the classes that I'm saying, we started these classes like 5 years ago, but it's not just classes anymore. It's already, it has become a community. And I was just thinking, like, I could say logically, Baruch Hashem, my plate is full. You know what I'm saying? Logically. But then I was thinking, I don't know how to go about it, but I'm saying there's so many people from just the WhatsApp group from the Tanya class from the Likkutei Sichos class that I have by Billy's house is over 100, what is it, 120 something people. And it's a community already. And there's so many people that are looking for shidduchim for their children. I don't know how to make a WhatsApp group for shidduchim or to collect resumes, or I don't know.
WhatsApp groups for shidduchim and categories, like literally Chabad, Haivish, Hasidish, and they interviewed her, right? Yeah. So maybe you could hook up with her. And she's Hasidish lady from Sver, and she opened WhatsApp groups, and they make shidduchim like crazy there.
Wow.
Join your category. Maybe
That's so amazing. Okay, so or send me the information, because every person is a whole world, and I feel like we do all have something in common, the openness for Hasidus and for and yes, we're all coming from different walks of life, but like I would never know that she's looking for shidduchim for two of her kids, and everyone knows someone who's looking for a shidduch. I just felt like, so logic says just be quiet and go, continue with your life and whatever. But then this above logic is like, no, we have to push ourselves and do more. And you don't have to be a shatrin in order to help someone else. And then my mother posted a video of a teacher who told all the kids in her class, who gave each kid in her class a balloon and said, write your name on the balloon. And then she took and then when you're done, take the balloon and put it in the hallway of the school. And I don't know how big the class was. I guess it's just a mashal. Anyway, all the kids put their balloons in the hallway. She mixes up all the balloons and she tells the kids, each of you go find your balloon. And they all run out and everyone's pushing and shoving, trying to find their balloon. And it's just complete chaos. And the teacher said, okay, stop. Everyone come back into the classroom. She says, everyone go out there, take one balloon and give it to the person whose name is on the balloon. And in 5 minutes, everyone had their balloon. So when everyone is running to try to find a shidduch for their own kid, we're crashing into each other, and it's just chaos. Like, who can I call and what can I do? Da, da, da. But if we just stop a second and get organized and take one step back and say, how can we, like, I don't know, help each other. Thank you. The effectiveness of that. My brother Menachem, his wife Chani, so it was her and a few of her sister, her and her sister and her sister-in-law, they were all married and none of them had children. So my brother's mother-in-law, Chani's mother, she already passed. She was such an incredible woman, shlucha in Baltimore, Maryland, and her name was Rachel Kaplan, Allah Shalom, and she was an amazing powerhouse. She built a mikvah on her, like she did all the fundraising for the mikvah in the community, and although she was a woman, she was so into mitzvah tefillin. She would take Bachram with her, and everyone knew, like Mrs. Kaplan, like no one could say no to her. No one could say no to her. If Mrs. Kaplan said, put on tefillin, you put on tefillin. She put a Bachar with her to actually do it, but no one refused her. So she said to her kids, she said, each of you daven for the other one. You daven. She told her daughter, you daven for your sister, you daven for the sister-in-law. Each one should daven for the other one. And Baruch Hashem, they were all blessed with children. So it just got me thinking. It just got me thinking. Um, yeah, we have to try all avenues. But I'm just thinking, even just from the women from the classes, if we could somehow put together a list of names or resumes or something. I don't know exactly how to go about it, but I just realized there's, we need to do, we need to, we need to do more. We need to do more. And a person can say, I'm not capable, I'm not a shatrin, this is not my forte, whatever it is. But that's the education that's the education that we're getting from the Tanya, which is we're not ruled by logic and we don't operate according to logic. And last night was actually marks 10 years since my husband and I should say my husband, stood before the zoning board in Tom's River. We were
Today.
Do you remember it?
I do remember. I was thinking about it on the way here.
I know it shouldn't be that long. I was expecting Shmuel Isaac. He's going to be 10 in Adar, and I was also in my 8th month of my pregnancy, and my husband and I. So I was 35. He was like 37. We're basically 2 kids, and we had to go before the zoning board because we had applied for a variance. Our land is our house, Baruch Hashem, our Chabad house is on 8 acres of land. You can't buy 8 acres today. Now you buy a house, what is it, 1 acre if you're lucky? And we're on Church Road. And there are plenty of churches on Church Road. You cannot apply for a variance until you own a property. So we purchased this Chabad house, and we had a tiny Hebrew school of 5 kids. And we were going to apply for a variance to be able to use this house to officially be a house of worship. So they asked us, what do we do? We said we have a Hebrew school with 4 or 5 kids. We have services on Shabbos. And in the newspaper, they wrote that we are planning to open a school on this property for 400 kids. And the traffic on Church Road is going to be a disaster. It was all a bunch of pack of lies. So my husband and I, we thought we'll go before the zoning board. We'll say, no, it's not true. And we said it's not true. And they didn't care.
People lined up out the door to complain.
It was supposed to be in town hall. That's where all these meetings are. But town hall could hold 300 people. 1,200 people came out against us.
Out the door.
And we had to be, we actually had to pay for the auditorium, of a public school to fit everybody here. I don't know. I don't think we knew him then. People were starting to trickle in, and the township realized that we didn't realize it. For 7 years, we were on New Hampshire Avenue. No one bothered us. And it said Chabad on our mailbox, and our neighbor, he thought that was our last name, Mr. Shabbat. So he thought we were. But anyway, no one bothered us. And then as soon as the front people started moving in, they took all their anger and they put it straight on us. They actually sent us a letter. They sent us a letter right before December 25th, or maybe like December 24th, saying that for every activity that we do here, we're going to be fined $1,000. And they said this specifically December 25th when there's no one to talk to. Of course, we didn't listen and we just kept doing our thing. I'm saying everything took time. Everything took time. But anyway, so because we couldn't have the meeting at town hall because it only seats 300 people, they gave us a choice of 2 dates when we could have this hearing. The 2 dates on the Hebrew calendar ended up being Yotes Kislev or Hey Teves.
So,
and that's wild. And the lawyer who's from Washington, D.C., who specializes in this. For him, Hey Tevis was better, so we did Hey Tevis. Why am I even speaking about this?
About
Logic. Oh my gosh. I don't remember his name, but since then he has helped many other Chabad houses. He specializes specifically in anti-Semitism and against houses of worship. That was a specialty. And basically at the end, the township realized that who they were dealing with. But at that time, it was from 8 p.m. till 12 a.m. And my husband and I, we came with our chitas, with our Igros Kaidesh, with our picture of the Rebbe, and we thought, okay, this is gonna be easy. We'll just tell them we're not opening a school for 400 kids, and that will be it. Like, what's the problem? Anyway, by the time that thing was over, I was like, sure, I'm going into labor, like right now, from the stress. No, they denied us that night. They denied us. We said there's already a precedent in New Jersey that you could have 35 people, a priest who had 35 people praying in his house. So we said, okay, we said, forget it. Forget a variance, no variance. Just allow us to be just 35 people. After 4 hours, they denied it.
Because there was too many people in the audience.
But eventually,
They would have liked
Eventually we settled with it. We settled, but the newspaper ended up saying it took years. In the newspaper, it said Chabad can stay in house. Tom's River broke the law. Chabad can stay in house. That was the end.
So you paid that for all us from people in town.
Baruch Hashem.
Right, or else it would have been in
Right.
the.
They know that they cannot start up with.
Yeah, they were they were way too scared.
Patients of just, I
Yeah,
don't get thrown shul, but you help everyone.
You continued doing everything.
Yeah.
When you didn't have the variance.
right.
And
No,
you
no,
get-
we
you
still
got
don't have a
out.
variance.
We still don't have.
No, but they're not going to mess with us. We have nothing to worry about because the township they had to end up paying. We've settled with them. They ended up paying close to $100,000 just for lawyer fees, for our lawyer fees.
Sure, well, the taxpayers, all those 1,200 people had to chip in for your courses.
We had to pay $10,000. Each hearing would cost us $10,000. Because we had to pay for the place and for the security and for the police who did nothing, and for it was crazy. It was completely crazy. And the end is that they said they denied us, right? So now there's going to be a second hearing, and the second hearing was scheduled and 1 week before the second hearing, I gave birth prematurely 5.5 weeks early to Shmuel Isaac. And my husband, I was like, why did this baby come early? That day went to Liberty Science Center. It was midwinter vacation, and Mushka was in school in Crown Heights. So we went from Liberty Science Center, we went to Crown Heights, we dropped her off. I came home, we went to sleep, and that was it. My parents were in Florida. I called my mother, she came from Florida, she made it for the birth. Whatever, it was crazy. But anyway, why is this baby early?
I had just left.
You had just left? Rachel has the same birthday as Isaac. Yeah. It was Beis Adar, and they said, so my husband just mentioned to the lawyer that we had a baby. So he said, well, if you had a baby, then for personal reasons you could postpone or cancel the hearing. Nothing who cares if I had a baby? Like, it's not like I have to nothing in the world could have moved that hearing besides for his birth. It was unbelievable. And he's named Shmuel Isaac for my grandfather. You just mentioned him. And my grandfather, he was Baruch Hashem, he was very wealthy. He had a lot of real estate. And till his last day, he was on top of, he was working in the business and everything like that. And he was such a great businessman. He was like, no one could ever, he was very, very good. And it was so funny. I was like, Shmuel Isaac, my son, I named for my grandfather. He would be proud because just his birth saved us $10,000. Because otherwise he would have had to pay another $10,000 for another hearing. Their plan was basically to dry us of our funds. That was what they were trying to do, to schlep it. And we had no idea what we were supposed to do. But by then already we got clarity. We ended up suing Tom's River for anti-Semitism because what happened was on Facebook. But then Facebook was very in. And people wrote the most horrible anti-Semitic comments on Facebook. which the lawyer just printed out from the computer. Comments like turn on the ovens, put a bullet through his head, those kind of comments, and the rest was the anti-Semitism was right there.
That's very helpful.
Why did you deny us? All we asked for to have 35 people to pray, only because of anti-Semitism, was as clear as day. Someone sprayed a swastika on our driveway. It was very easy to prove. But anyway, so I'm saying is we don't operate according to logic. We don't operate according to logic. We knew whether they denied us or didn't deny us on Hey Teves. It didn't matter there were 1,200 people there. And yes, at 12 o'clock when that thing was over, I turned to my husband and I said, I could understand how a Holocaust could happen. Because anti-Semitism was so, it was so real. It was crazy. The hate. It was crazy. It was crazy.
We still have that?
I remember some of the people were Jewish too. They
You
were
thi-
just getting up there.
It was crazy.
Jewish people?
Any person,
Self-hating Jew.
Yeah.
any person could stand up and ask any question. There was a long line of people asking my husband questions. So one guy, Carrie Teifel, he owned the Ramada and other hotels in the area and in Florida. So he came to support us. So he came to just to show you an example of the anti-Semitism. So everyone's complaining. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of traffic on Church Road because we're opening a school. Halavai. So he said to the rabbi, he said, and my husband stood up before, and my husband explained what Chabad is, that we have an open door, everyone's welcome, la la la, whatever. So the guy before Carrie Teifel said, well, if you don't turn anybody away, what happens if 1,000 people show up at your location? What would you do? So as I had no choice, that if 1,000 people came to my Chabad house, I would have to turn them away. What else was he going to say? Then Carrie Teifel's next online. He says, Rabbi, is it true? It has to be yes or no questions. Is it true that you have high holiday services in my hotel? So my husband says, yes. So he says, well, if you have 1,000 people that want to come pray, you can come to my hotel. I will give you rooms for free, and you can use my ballroom for the services. So you would think that would solve the problem because now there's no traffic on Church Road, right? The entire room, you remember, it was going boo.
Yeah.
I thought it was color war. I don't know. It was color war. I don't know. It was crazy.
So crazy.
It was crazy. It was like, I was like, what is going on here? Is this kindergarten? Is it like what the it was crazy. The whole room erupts in boo, and and the police were just like standing there, like very very powerful. Yeah. And someone was screaming. The women they were screaming about my husband, liar, liar, pants on fire. I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on here? It was crazy.
They just lost the first
Yeah, just the first hearing, they denied it, but the end, why?
As long as they could get more money, they'll just pay.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that they should deny it. Why should they deny it? But everyone there was there was so much opposition. It was like whatever. But I'm saying in general, we're not limited. You could have 1,200 people standing against you, but we don't we're not following the same rules as the rest of the world. We're operating on a different level.
Look at Rabashkin. I always think I really think he's like today's like modern day.
Absolutely.
He says only a Chabad could come out of jail like that. Like I really, really was not affected. My husband, I'm saying he spoke recently, but my husband made a party and came. He was just like, he really.
He lived above it.
And it actually does say though that it's up to a person's choice on their emunah, trust and faith. Meaning that if a person wants to live in that limited logical place, Hashem Kaviyachol says, no problem, I'll back out, and that's how you live your life. It is a choice that a person makes, but if a person chooses to fall into the faith of Hashem, you will see that unlimited much more. So people that like you say, the person with tomatoes. or whatever, it could, people do live on a check and balance life, and that's how they choose for their life, so
And
that's.
that's what Hashem reacts.
And Hashem says, no problem, you believe in the checks and balances, that's where you will be, you know, that's what you'll see, but when you fall into the place of trust, that's when we'll be able to really see it. So,
When you rely
like,
on
people,
Yeah.
people could, because conceptually, we do live in a world where there are
Logical.
people that are very logical, and they don't, or like, even our own life, we live in a place sometimes where things don't necessarily, we don't see necessarily on Hashem's, because we didn't let Hashem's hand
rely
into
on
that
it.
part of our life.
You have to let Hashem in
So
100%.
It's like Sharon Tafon is saying, how that's what Tafon is. Falling into that place of knowing that Hashem can do and will do. And when Hashem knows what's inside of us, and Hashem knows if it's real, like if we just say it, it's very nice. But if we really feel it, that's when Hashem says, okay, like, you really believing in me, and I'm gonna really take care of it.
100%,
There's a
100%.
balance, though. There's
I don't know
always
if
that
there's a balance.
No, because
I
if the
don't know
more,
if there's a balance.
if the more you
I don't know
believe,
if
the
there's a
more.
balance.
I know somebody who did feel this way and borrowed money.
She was
Right.
irresponsible.
I think she
That's
felt
what I'm
that.
saying, there's a
She was
balance.
irresponsible. It's not a balance of
We don't
belief.
know what the person really inside is feeling. Only Hashem knows. So we might see like, oh, it looks
Also,
like
that's
it. Not to judge the
irresponsible.
person, but
No,
Hashem.
the more you
knows
trust, they
if
say
those
always be
persons are real.
tough on and status work hand in hand. The more we talk on there is, the less the status you need.
So I know for a fact that like tzedakah, you're not supposed to rely on tzedakah for extra stuff on
But
Shabbos.
tzedakah is not relying on
know?
Hashem. It's called relying on tzedakah. That's not called
No,
relying.
but there are people that really truly feel it. We don't know because we're human beings. We don't know what's inside of them. Hashem knows what's inside of them, and they really live like day to day. And Hashem takes care of them.
When I had my
They
last,
do cheshbonos on other people or ourselves, but
Mhm.
me,
Yeah.
from the outside.
Look, Hashem
I don't
very
feel
high,
it.
right? You
You
trusted
can't
Hashem.
feel it.
Hashem made a tree grow where it didn't make any sense and water.
Feel
That
it.
I've seen.
Or Reb
I've
Hanina
seen
ben
that.
Dosa, who like, you know, the oil. He
Right,
believed
right.
that this Hashem can make
That's
anything
a high
better, and it
level.
did.
right.
Is there a Panina Ben Dar-
That's
Okay,
a
but-
crazy level. That's why vinegar burns. So I don't know if my vinegar is going to burn, but if you believe on that level, you can't say that it's limited.
The
Because Hashem's not
you know why it's not? Because the real reality is Ein Milvadai. Everything else, this is the fake.
And yet Hashem wants us to go through and do things according to nature.
No,
But Hashem wants us to live in nature and find Him.
Yes.
He needs,
No,
Hashem wants us to
he
lift
needs-
nature.
Hashem needs us to, here's such a good word, really. He needs us to make it look like it's nature. And Hashem
Right.
has to do miracles.
Right.
Miracles. He needs us
Exactly.
to make it look like it's nature, but us personally going through it need to have a full reliance on Hashem. The world has to look like.
And still be
that's
responsible
provident.
at the same
Yeah.
time, like,
You have to.
that's the saying,
You
there's a
don't have to,
balance.
1 second. No, it's not a balance. When it comes to other people and using other people's
That's what I'm
finances,
talking about.
that's called not being nice or
That's what I'm
responsible.
talking
But it's not a
about.
balance of faith.
Right, well, that's what I'm
Faith should not be
talking about,
balanced.
where you go to that place of faith and start taking money from
That's
other
not called
people.
So-
faith.
so that's
not
not-
called
so
faith.
that's-
That's not called faith.
That's saying I need something that Hashem.
But,
I need something
but,
that Hashem doesn't believe I
but he
need.
borrowed from other people and his intention was, he's gonna pay it back. He'll be able to pay it back, Hashem is gonna help him.
That's taking other people.
Yeah.
But maybe also the trust is Hashem knows what I need, and I believe I need more than what Hashem.
Yeah, maybe they
So
shouldn't have
really, it
borrowed.
might not be full faith. Full faith is that Hashem gives me everything I need. So if I
Right.
don't have this X,
You can't
and I
say that
have
there's a
this X,
balance of
saying
faith.
it's our own. We can't judge other people, but on our own calculations,
Right.
sometimes it's also saying like Hashem. I trust Hashem so much that I don't need what I think I need, because if I needed it, Hashem would have given it to me.
Right.
Maybe it would be that they wouldn't borrow if they would trust.
Right, meaning that
They would
but
trust
they
so
really
much that they
borrowing
wouldn't
based
borrow.
on.
Right, so
Real
that's what I'm
dire
saying,
needs.
you have to be responsible at the same time. You
There's also
can't-
just
you
no
can't-
way-
My family used to have a lot of money and now we don't. And now when I hear this, it's like, I don't know, I just feel like we feel so entitled to our stuff, you know, and it could just
Right.
go away in a second, even the money, you know?
Right, right.
But
Look.
Hashem needs to provide, I say this all the time, Hashem needs to provide for us to do Torah and mitzvahs. What that is, might be less or more than what we believe we need. But when we truly believe in Hashem, then He will give us what we need to do, to live a life that He wants us to live, not the life that we want to live.
Right, that's.
So
that's
it's
really-
that part of trust. It's trusting that Hashem is.
Yeah, the
literally
borrowing
taking care of it.
irresponsibly doesn't show trust.
Right.
It's not that the person's trust wasn't balanced. That's no shyness to trust. No?
I'm saying
It's not
trust.
trust.
Trust is that you realize that Hashem is the one, only Hashem is gonna to rise that level where only Hashem is gonna can help me now, and that's what happened with Rabbi Rubashkin. That very day or the day before, he received a letter that there was no hope anymore in a physical way for him to be released. Everything was every channel, every keli, every vessel, every channel, physical channel to get himself out was done. There was no hope left on a logical level. And when there was no hope left on a logical level, the only thing to do is to go to a higher level and say, Hashem, you're not, I'm not bound by this jail because you are the only one that could get me out of here. And and also when a woman is giving birth, right? It comes to a point. When is the baby ready to come? When you surrender, you say, I can't, Hashem, that's it. There's so much that, I'm in control, I'm okay, whatever it is. And it hits a point, Hashem, help me. And that's when the baby's ready to come out.
Trust is when you physically feel relaxed. When a person's body physically feels relaxed, that's when you know you're trusting.
You just give the control to Hashem. Hashem, I'm yours.
It's so hard because sometimes you do that and you still don't. You're not on that level fully, but you try and you don't get it. So then it makes it harder to continue.
But the whole point of this chapter is that we have it within us. Okay, let's take it inside.
That's what the expectation is not, okay, I'm gonna get what I think. That perfection, I can fall into.
Thank you so much.
No, but we want to see the reveal.
The revealed good is what I have on this. So why are revealed good with Hashem and revealed good? Revealed good according to us is limited.
No, but he's then Rabash could have said, Hashem wants me in jail. This is the revealed good. No, you have to believe that you're going to see good according to what you think.
We're not that we're not limited.
It has to be because he could have been like, I'm in jail. This is what Hashem thinks is best.
That's giving up. That's going victim. But when we did everything we can and we trusted and we still didn't get it, that is perfect now.
It's hard to keep on hoping that it'll change. It's very hard.
Life is right. Every day's a new challenge.
It's
hard, but
Hard.
It's a process. It really is a process.
we don't have to ever get there. I think it's always.
I was like a certain thing that I'm thinking in my brain that I've been sort of like waiting for like years, like for that thing to change. I just don't believe like it's 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it could be it's not. It could be it's not right now that it change.
I
We have
learned,
such a vision.
I learned that
we know what life's supposed to look like.
I learned that that thing that you're waiting for is waiting for you to be the right person for that thing.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like you have to evolve into a certain type of person.
It's waiting for you to be the right person for that thing. So like you have to think,
It's also waiting for you. It's a process. Life is a process.
you have to be there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we touched upon this also in yesterday's class in the Parsha class. So basically, this chachma of the neshama, this part of us that ability to let go and let God, this chachma is compared to seeing versus hearing. When you see something, then nobody could convince you otherwise. If I see this bottle of orange juice on the table, you cannot convince me that it's a bottle of Coke. You could talk from today to tomorrow. I see this, that's it. So chachma, what happens is our neshama, the deepest part of our neshama, the chachma sheba neshama, sees the truth. And therefore, even though we have questions and even though we can't understand, the chachma, the questions don't negate the chachma because the chachma sees the truth. So yes, you might have questions on a bina level, and you might not understand. However, when the chachma shebenefesh that sees godliness, that sees the truth, and nothing could touch it or negate the faith. Sorry. Okay.
You're saying that when we are relying on Hashem for something, that we should actually see it. And once we see it, that's it. It is. That's what you're saying?
I mean, you should actually see it.
You should use your mind.
Oh,
Use
imagine.
your imagination.
Visualize.
Yeah, visualize it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not what I was saying, but it's a very that there is something to it. It's not just in Torah. I'm saying in the world, manifest exactly. When you imagine something, we have so much more power inside of us than we know of. For a 14-year-old girl in Bondi Beach in Sydney to save 2 kids,
That was crazy. That was beyond logic for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Left the safe place.
Yes.
What did she do? She grabbed the kids and ran back.
And she got shot in the leg. Twice.
Is she gonna be okay?
She's in the hospital still, right?
I don't know.
I think
She lost her life.
no.
No, she got injured.
When she was interviewed, she still had a hospital bed, but I thought she was out of the hospital. I'm not sure.
She was like,
She's being kissed. What kids did she say? What kids did she say?
Started screaming, saying, well, the mother was going.
The mother didn't move.
The mother.
The mother was shot.
The mother died.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mother was.
But she couldn't save her kids.
She said, "Save my kids."
She said, yes, yes.
For help, and she just went, and her friend was like, "Stay here, you quit." Like, what do you do?
Everyone said, get down. And she said, no. So I'm saying we all have supernatural power as Jewish people. And we don't tap into, everyone knows, like we don't tap into to our potential. We have so much more potential that we aren't using, Okay. What is it? We're up to the word Hine HaChachma.
What chapter?
It's still towards the end of chapter 18. In the green book, it's page 217.
Shvat, if it says the day of
Yeah.
the week.
Yeah, Aleph Shvat, exactly. Okay, so Hine HaChachma, Hi Mekar HaSeichel. A chachma is we call it wisdom, but it's actually the source of.
Aleph Shvat is the date, it says the
No
date.
date there.
Hine HaChachma.
That's towards the end. So what? It's in 17. It's on 60. It was 60. Middle.
And your class?
Here.
No, you're set.
It's hard to find.
Yeah.
It's very hard to
It's really towards the end of the chapter. I'm saying, no, yeah. Okay. Hine HaChachma hi Mekar HaSeichel v'Havana. The Chachma is the source of intelligence and cognition. But it's not where intellect is. It's just the source of it. V'hi l'mayla ma'bina shehu havanas haseichel v'asagasei. Chachma precedes bina, which is the experience of cognitively grasping an idea. V'achachma hi l'mayla me'havana ve'hasaga v'hi makar lohen. So it's chachma that precedes and is the source of cognition and grasping. V'zeu l'shayin chachma. This is also reflected in the word chachma. Kayach ma. What's chachma? It's a kayach ma. It's a kayach. It's a power. But ma, what is it? It can't be. It can't be defined. It can't be grasped. Shehu ma she'enai musag umuvan ve'enai nispas b'asaga adayin. It has not yet been grasped and understood, and it still defies comprehension. V'lachein, and therefore. Mislabish ba arin seif baruch hu, and therefore Hashem's infinite light can rest and be expressed in Chachma. The leis machshava tvisa beklal, because no thought can grasp the light of Hashem. So therefore Hashem can't invest himself in Bina, he can only invest himself in Chachma. V'lachin kol Yisrael afilu hanashim v'amei haaretz hey ma'aminim b'Hashem. And therefore,
Notice
all
what category we fall in.
oh, wait 1 second. 1 second. Let me explain. This is why all Jews, even women,
And Amihara.
who when the Tanya was written did not receive any formal education, and other uneducated people believe in Hashem.
Meaning it's not just from the chachma, from the learning.
Right.
But when they're illiterate,
Yes.
they didn't have the chachma.
As a matter of fact, the women who are illiterate have more muna than men. Why? Because muna has nothing to do. It doesn't have anything to do with what you got on your Chumash test. It has nothing. It has nothing to do. It's above intellect.
Above what?
It's above logic. It's above intellect.
I always wondered why women, I always thought it's because we're more connected to Hashem.
We are,
We are,
but
because we,
this is case in point. Case in point that you have Rabbi Silverberg, thanks so much. He was describing his grandmother. She lived during the time of the Holocaust, and she was the kids. I'm saying the kids, and instead of being in school, they were in the concentration camps for years, and they didn't have an education. And he says that his grandmother, she was always such a simple person because she never had that education. She never had that opportunity. And even when she was so old and frail, and her son, who was a big rabbi, he would say to his mother, "You don't have to fast on Tisha B'Av. You don't have to fast in Kippur. You're old, and it's so hard for you. There's shiurim, there's different things you could do." And she turned to her son like as if like, "What are you saying? It's Yom Kippur. Of course I'm fasting." Like it was such a simple faith that it doesn't matter my condition, my health situation, my age. It's Yom Kippur. We fast. There's no two ways about it. That simple tmimistikkeit. All she could do is read. She could read the Tehillim. That's it. He described his grandmother as so holy and so connected and so spiritual without any formal education. She never had that opportunity ever. Even later on in life, it's not like she sat and learned. But the emunah, Hashem says that's it. Unbelievable. Because the emunah is above intellect. You don't have to be a scholar.
intellect gets in the way.
Yes. And even when it came, Rabbi Silberg discusses this, that when it comes to Mesiras Nefesh, a person who's not so smart, it's easier for him to give up his life than for someone who's so intellectual, because they're so used to using their brain that it's more difficult for someone who is very smart to give up his life for Hashem than someone who doesn't have the intellect. So yeah. So that's why a Talmid Chacham is not someone who just is smart. It has to have someone who has incredible emunah and connection. It's not just about how many pages of Gemara you know. That you could take a pin, you could put it through the Gemara, and you could know every single page what's the word that it's touching. That's not our leaders. The leaders are called Einei Ha'eda, the eyes of the congregation. They're the people that see, their neshama could see the truth, that there's only one reality. There is everything else there's a mask covering it. The only reality is Einei Milvadei. And that's why in this week's parsha, Yosef, he was the only one who was able to be in this world. He didn't run away. He wasn't a shepherd, not like the Avos, not like the Shvatim, the Shvatim were above the world. I'm sorry, the Avos were above the world. They never landed on this earth. For the Shvatim, they had to run away from the world, so it shouldn't affect them. But Yosef said, if there's Einan Milvad, if there's only the Eibishter, then you could be sunk into Egypt. You could be even if you're a slave or you're a prisoner or you're Mishnah Lamelech, it doesn't matter. Whatever situation you're in, you don't have to run away from it, but just reveal the truth that there's only an Eibishter. He didn't run away from the world. He transformed the world. And he gave us that ability as well. That yes, we're a body, yes, we're a soul living in a body, and yes, we're in this world. But at the same time, we're not governed. We're not governed by the rules of this world because the only reality is Hashem. There's nothing else truly exists. that's the emes. That's the emes. So if so, chachma is synonymous with emuna, right? Because chachma shebenefesh, that's where the emuna, that's where Hashem's infinite light can rest, and that's the place of emuna. Emuna comes from the word amen. What's amen? Amen is yes, it's true. What happened was when people didn't know how to learn, when people didn't know how to learn and didn't know how to daven, they were illiterate. They would go to shul, and the chazan would daven, and they would say, "Amen, amen, amen." Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. So amuna is synonymous with the word emes, truth, on the level. And so it's chachma, it's seeing, it's emuna, it's emes. All that is on the same is on that higher level. When you go to a place of emes, a place of truth, this world is sheker. Go to a place of emes, you see where you see at the old that what did Hashem do? Hashem kind of created a tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means that Hashem kind of made space for us to feel that we have our own identity, but that's not true, right? And as we learned, tzimtzum is not k'pshutai. Tzimtzum is not. It didn't actually Hashem wasn't actually a tzimtzum himself. It's just that we perceive it that way. So everything that we perceive is not the real truth. Dig deeper, take away the layers, peel off the mask. There's only Hashem in every situation. Go deeper. And the reason the Jewish people are called Yosef. And the question is why? And the answer is because Yosef sustained his brothers. So we ask, what do you mean he sustained it? So because he sustained his brothers so many years ago, for those 7 years, therefore all Jewish people should be called Yosef?
They're not called Yisrael, we're called Yisrael.
We're called Yisrael and we're called Yosef. Yeah, in Parak, we learned this on Wednesday. In Parak Pei of Tehillim, it says, Raya Yisrael Hazina, Noyeg Katzoin Yosef. And over there, the Rashi explains that the Jewish people are called Yosef. Why are we called Yosef? Because Yosef sustained his family during the hunger. So because of that, we should be called Yosef forever? The answer is, the reason why he sustained his family physically on this earth is because spiritually he sustained them. And that's why it manifested itself physically. And what does it mean he sustained them in famine? Famine means in the hard times. From Yosef we learn how to survive and thrive in Golus. And what's the secret to survival? The secret is that you have to realize that you could be in prison and it could be impossible to get out, but Hashem's in charge. So even though all logic
actually into the
and that's why he ended up staying there for actually 2 years because he put his trust in the butler. But then ultimately he realized that his salvation is going to come from Hashem. And then the butler remembered him when Pare had his dreams. So everything that's manifested itself in this physical world is because of something higher. So this is not. It's not this world. They say, oh, what you see is what you get. It's not. It's not. This world is just a very good cover up. Hashem is so infinite that He's able to make you think that what you see is the reality. But and that's the secret. The secret of survival in Golos is to realize that there's one truth, there's one emes, to go to the place of Chachma, to go to the place of Amunah, to go to the place of Re'iyah, go to the place where you see that, and when you see it, it's so clear that the questions don't matter. Okay. Okay. Shamuna, what is it? Okay. Shamuna hilamayla min hadas, because emuna is beyond knowledge and cognition. Ki pasi yamin. I'm sorry. Ki pesi yamin lechol davar ve'arum yavin v'goymar. For the simpleton believes everything, and the sensible one uses his understanding. And this comes from Proverbs. So Shem Melech, this pasuk seems like it's putting down someone who believes everything,
Right, it calls them a fool.
right?
Yes, I don't know how people can name their kids Bessie.
So the summer.
Maybe. Okay.
What? I
Meaning that, has a meaning.
don't know what it means, but I know it has a summer.
But the truth is that you know what? The truth is that for the simpleton believes everything, you know who it's talking about? It's talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu believed everything. When everything, when in every aspect of our lives, we believe in Hashem, that's the biggest compliment.
Why is it called a fool?
Why is it say fool?
The reason why it's called a fool is to explain to us that Emunah is not on the same wavelength as understanding.
Meaning, it's not in your brain, it's foolish. It's an aberration.
Fool is the excluding brain, basically.
Yes, that's why it uses it.
The fool is a compliment.
But the truth, and this is very interesting. The Rebbe,
But that's what some people that real Amunah really sometimes look foolish. They really don't care about what anyone says, being said. They're just like they're foolish.
Or like some like the last generation, like say, they don't even care, they would need to go to.
We think we're smarter than them.
Right.
but it's interesting that the Rebbe spoke a sikha. The Rebbe was speaking about Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rebbe says, and the Rebbe said that Moshe Rabbeinu Yamin when the Rebbe spoke, he said this. He quoted this verse from Proverbs, and he left out the word pesi. He skipped that word, and he went Yamin l'chol davar. And so the Rebbe, he spoke a lot, but he didn't write his own teachings. Other people wrote it and he edited it. So when the editors, when they wrote this up, what the Rebbe's teaching, so they wrote the full pasuk. So the Rebbe crossed out the word pesi and he said, on purpose, I left out the word pesi. When talking about Moshe Rabbeinu, because the Rebbe was always very careful in his speech. He never said ra or bad or anything like that. He always said the opposite of good. So even though the Torah says it, the Rebbe said, I omitted the word pesi on purpose. But the truth is that the reason why it's using the word foolish is because it's trying to show us that Emunah, that Emunah is on the opposite side of the spectrum as Chachma.
Nothing
Not
to
a
do.
chachma.
I'm sorry, of understanding, of Bina, yes.
Nothing to do with your brain.
Correct. And
That's why sometimes you see the most in little kids.
Right, that's right.
They're brainless.
That's right.
They really believe
That
it.
is so true.
there's Tvimistikkeit. Yes. Ulagabe Kadosh Baruch Hu. And with regards to Hashem, Shehu l'mayla min hasecha v'adas, who transcends understanding and knowledge, v'leis machshav tfisa beklal, and no thought can grasp him at all. Hakol kifsayim etzla yisbarach. We are all fools. We are all simple compared to him.
Well, so maybe that's the terminology excessive.
A person has to have that humility and say, I don't get you. I don't understand. There's zero understanding over here. Because before Hashem is above understanding. Hashem is above seichel. To get to a place where say Hashem, I'm a fool. I'm a complete and utter fool. I don't get you. I don't get this world. I don't get anything. To come to that place, that's where there's a connection. That's when we're in a place of Amunah. That's when the miracles can happen. Is when that's when we get to that place when we say, Hashem, I don't understand. I'm a fool. I don't get it. I understand why you created the world. I understand why this person is not well. I understand why this. I understand. I understand. When we come to a place and say, I am a complete fool before Hashem, because we can't understand Hashem. Hashem is above understanding. Gidachsiv. Vani va'ar v'loy eda.
You don't understand how low you are. No, because they.
Go ahead.
Right, no, because I thought we're supposed to like contemplate again.
Yes, we're supposed to contemplate the greatness of Hashem, absolutely, to create a love. But now we're talking about not a love that I create. I'm talking about the we're talking about the hidden love that we're born with, that we get as an inheritance. We're talking about the place of our soul, the deepest part of our soul, which is Chachma Nefesh. And from that is much, much greater than anything that we could contemplate and we could get to on our own. And therefore, Avraham Avinu, he himself discovered God at the age of 3. And he did so much amazing work, but at the age of 75, Hashem said, "Lech lecha me'eretz chamatcha me'savicha." Leave everything behind, leave the logic behind, and I'm going to take you to a higher place, to a higher place. And therefore, Avram Avinu is the one. Avram Avinu is the one who passed the test of the Akedah.
Really?
The Akedah, what was so great about the Akedah? It wasn't that he was giving up his son. It's harder to give up your child than to give up yourself. And it wasn't that he was the first person, that this was the first time that it was done, that he opened up the channel for it. Because the channel was opened for by Or Kasdim. That's when the first opportunity was to give up his life. But just because you give up your life doesn't mean that you're having Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh means I give up my identity. The Akedah was Hashem's telling Avram, go destroy yourself. By killing his son, he'd be destroying everything that he worked for his entire life. Self-sacrifice is give up yourself. A lot of times, a person could have something that they work for their entire life, and could you imagine Avram Avinu? For all these years, he's spreading monotheism. He's saying, Hashem, there's only one God, there's only one God. And they say to him, listen, either bow down to Nimrod, or we're gonna throw you into the furnace. Of course, he's gonna jump into the furnace. Which idiot? You've been preaching something for your whole life. What kind of life would it be if he was to say, "Oh, everything that I said wasn't true"? Okay, Nimrod, you're in charge, and you can't back down now. What kind of life is that? People build a legacy. People, they believe, no one in the right mind, no one in the right mind would say, okay, everything that I said is everything that I said is it wasn't true, and you're right. No, your whole life you worked for something. Of course, you're gonna die for it, for your ideals. People die for their ideals, but that's not self-sacrifice, and that's why Hashem said, Kach na, please take your son. Because if you pass the test of the Akedah, then everyone's going to know that all other tests were also with true Mesiras Nefesh. Because other people from other nations, they also give up their life. But it's not self-sacrifice. You say, oh, this world is so difficult and hard and painful. So you know what? I'll take my life. And over there, and then there'll be a better world. It'll be a little painful now to take my life, but then I'll have a better world up there. That's not self-sacrifice. That's not self-sacrifice. You want to get out of the pain, so you're killing yourself. Self-sacrifice is that there is no me. There is no me. It's only the Eibishter. So yes, logic is we need both. You're right that we need both. We need Chachma and we need Bina. We need to have that place of connection to Hashem where there is no me. But then it can't just stay in Chachma. We have to also bring it down to Bina. We also have to understand it with our mind and feel it with our heart, and it should come down also to action. We can't just live in Chachma. It's supposed to permeate our entire being. It is a balance, and we do need both. We do need Chachma and we need Bina. But we all agree that Chachma is higher than Bina.
But even with the contemplation, I feel like it brings you to the same place, because if you recognize how little you are, how much I don't understand.
Right, when you contemplate Hashem, it's not that you understand Hashem, it's that you understand how little you can.
Exactly, you don't understand Hashem when you contemplate him. You don't, oh, now I stop with Hashem. No, you don't ever get to that place.
Right.
You get into that place where you realize you don't understand.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
So you realize that Hashem, I don't get you.
Right.
Right.
With the contemplation.
Right.
Two methods.
It's two methods, get in the same place, really. No?
But when I'm the Bina is that there is so much that we could understand.
There is?
Yeah. There is so much that we could contemplate on the greatness of Hashem. We could understand that there's different worlds, and and there's malachim, and there's a lot that we could understand about Hashem. There's a lot that we could understand, but there's It's a sandwich. You start off with Kabbalah Sol, accepting Hashem, I'm your servant. We start with Kabbalah Sol and with Emunah. Then we learn. Then we have understanding. And then above the understanding of Emunah again, a higher level of Emunah. Emunah is the foundation, but Emunah also comes above logic. Okay. So here, this pasuk, David HaMelech says, as the verse states, I was a fool without knowledge. I was an animal towards you, yet I was always with you. David compares himself to an animal. And he says, because I'm like an animal that I don't have any seichel, therefore I'm always with you. I'm with you. I'm with you because I acknowledge that I have no understanding of you. That's when I'm with you. It is precisely because I was a fool and an animal, using my faculty of faith and not reason, that I was always with you and connected to you. The real connection comes, and the real connection is revealed when a person says, Hashem, relinquish the control and to relinquish the trying to figure things out. And why did this thing happen? And why did that thing happen? And all the cheshbonos, all the calculations. When all the calculations and all the logic is out the window, you say, Hashem, I don't understand. That's when I'm truly with Hashem. This is why even the most irreverent and sinful Jews will, in the majority of the cases, agree to sanctify God's name and give up their lives when faced with a threat such as serve idols or die. Not only are they going to die, take a bullet, but rather they will suffer harsh torture rather than denounce the one God. The harsh torture is worse than dying. And there's dying for Hashem and there's living for Hashem. It's easy to die for Hashem. To live for Hashem is harder. Okay, so the fact that even sinful Jews chose to give their lives for Hashem, it doesn't make sense. You would think that someone who's extremely devoted would choose to die for Hashem. But this is proof. This is proof of the dormant love and faith in the hearts and souls of all Jews, regardless of their level of piety and religious education, a faith that will tend to surface when faced with a very great challenge. And even if these Jews will sacrifice their lives, even if they are morally uncultivated, uneducated in Judaism, and ignorant of Hashem's greatness. And even to the little knowledge that they do possess, they give little thought. They don't contemplate about the greatness of Hashem, even a little bit they do know. The aid moishim nafsham. They're not choosing to give up their lives as a result of any mental appreciation or careful thinking about Hashem. There is no logic here. There's no logic here. Oh, I'm going to get Olam Haba. They're not thinking about Olam Haba. And when a push comes to shove, they say, I cannot bow down to this idol. End of story. They're not thinking logically mitzvahs and aveiros and connection and Olam Haba and Olam Hazeh. They're not thinking about any of that. There's no calculations. It's just, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Rather, they give up their lives without any mental appreciation or careful thinking. As if it was simply impossible to denounce the one God. Bli shum tam v'taina maina klal, without any reasoning or rational argument whatsoever. V'hainu mishum sh'Hashem echad meir u'mechaya kol hanefesh, and this is because all of the soul is illuminated and energized by the one God. Al yedei histabshusei b'vchinas chachma sheba, through Hashem's infinite light being present in the soul's component of chachma. Because Hashem is present in your chachma, in the chachma sheba nefesh, and this is what comes to the surface when in a time of crisis, and this is why a person who makes no calculations and cannot, it's impossible for him to denounce Hashem. Which transcends fathomable knowledge and cognitive intellect. In the majority of cases, when faced with a huge test of faith, dormant love will automatically awaken. But how do we access dormant love in the normal everyday setting? Tanya will answer this question in the following chapters. Okay, so with that, we conclude chapter 18. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything. Oh, a couple of pointers here. You were saying that, okay, well, we were saying that, yes, we need both the Chachma and Bina, just like we have in the Shvatim. You have Reuven. Reuven is to see, and Shimon is to hear, right? So Reuven is Chachma, Shimon is Bina. We have to have both. Chachma is, I don't have to do anything. It's just apparent and revealed in front of me. Bina is when I have to do the work. I have to understand. And that's why you could teach a class and every person understands it differently. Bina is my work.
Das is the personal part.
Das is also.
Bina is the expanding of the idea, no? Right.
Being is your personal.
Well, yeah, but Bina is expanding the thought.
So
Expanding on your personal level.
yeah, so everything is true, but relatively speaking, when comparing Chachma and Bina, Chachma is seeing and Bina is hearing, and we have so it's not, so we have to actually internalize everything and bring it down into our everyday life and into our thought, speech, and action. So we do need Bina, we do need Reuven and Shimon, we need both aspects. Okay, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, and when Mashiach comes, what does it say? V'ro kol basar yachdav. We're all going to see, all flesh, all together. We're going to see Hashem. What does it mean? We're going to see Hashem? Is it just that we have physical eyes and there's something blocking us from seeing Hashem? No, physical eyes could only see physical 3-4 dimensional things. But what it means that we're going to see Hashem when Mashiach comes, what does that mean? It means that we're going to be in the place we're going to experience this chachma. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden our physical eyes are going to actually see Hashem. It means that that this concept of chachma, that we're going to truly experience. We're going to experience Hashem on the level of chachma. That's what it means.
It means our logic won't get in the way.
Means our logic will get in the way, and we're gonna connect to Hashem in a place that's above logic, because Hashem is above logic. Okay. And Moshe Rabbeinu himself, when we said Pesi, and we were saying that pasuk about foolishness, Moshe Rabbeinu himself, he is on the level of Chachma Datzilos. So on the level of Chachma Datzilos, if you're on the level of Chachma Datzilos, then foolishness is a compliment.
There's no brain.
And yet
Yeah.
Moshe Rabbeinu questioned.
Moshe Rabbeinu questioned, and the questions didn't take away from his
Why
emunah.
should be a question?
When he saw
Lamar Islam Azeh by the sneh.
Yeah, but
Why you can't go there?
On question,
he questioned when he saw Reb Akiva being burned alive, you know.
So yes, so there are questions, but sometimes you have to put the questions aside and you have to accept Hashem unconditionally.
That questions, just can't get away from your life.
Right. Hashem was telling him, Abraham Avinu didn't question, the others didn't question. I was telling this to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu did question. Because his main meter was Chachma, he did question. So, yeah.
No, but Chachma is, that's the thing.
Yes.
Chachma is not,
Right.
Chachma is what, like, yeah, but there's a joke. There's a joke that there was a chicken and a pig walking down the street, and they see a restaurant, and in the restaurant they're advertising breakfast, the breakfast special, bacon and eggs. So the chicken says to the pig, "Look how much we're contributing to society." So the pig says, "No. But you're just giving an egg. For me, for me, they don't want a contribution. The chicken is giving a contribution. The pig is a commitment, right? So the chicken can give an egg and could continue with its merry way. But the pig, they want the pig. The pig has to give up his identity. That's it. There's not going to be, if you're serving bacon, chas shalom, then that's it. There is no more pig. So lahavdil, the Mesiras Nefesh is when it's not just a contribution. Hashem, I'll give you 10 minutes of my day and I'm going to daven for you. I'm going to daven to you. That's not Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is not, okay, Hashem, I'm going to contribute. I'll give some tzedakah. I'll do some mitzvahs for you. I'll contribute to the cause. Yiddishkeit is, Hashem, is to give up your identity. That there is no me and there is no questions. And the human being has questions. But that's on a lower level. Making cheshbonos. How many eggs will I give you? Hashem? But it's a higher level. A higher level is there's no me and there's no questions. There's no questions because I'm completely I'm completely dedicated. I'm completely ibrigeben to Hashem. There is nothing else. There's truly nothing else other than Hashem.
Well, the pig is on a higher level, but okay.
Yeah. You see,
But they
sometimes
say that's why there's split hoops, because the picture wants to be kosher. They are on a higher level.
yeah, they have one of the
They
two
will be
sides.
when the
And when
Mashiach
Mashiach comes, they're.
Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's why it's called Chazir, they return.
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Not that I'm looking.
I was gonna
forward
say,
to it.
It means we're positive.
Yeah.
Is it right?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. The one other word that's a very good word is that when it comes the difference between Mesiras Nefesh of a Yid and a guy. Mesiras Nefesh, you can't say that a guy. The difference between because what's real Mesiras Nefesh, what's Mesiras Nefesh and what's not Mesiras Nefesh. Sometimes a person could give up their life, right? And it's not self-sacrifice, rather it's an investment. Like the Arabs, an investment. I'll give up my life, and then what am I going to get? I'll get the honor. My family will get money. I'll get 70 virgins in heaven. It's an investment. Mesiras Nefesh is not an investment. There's nothing. There's no you. There's no person. There's no you b'chlal. It's like Avraham Avinu by the Akedah, that he was willing to destroy. And Hashem said, "Ki beYitzchak yikar l'chazara." Hashem said, through Yitzchak, everything that you worked for is going to continue. And then for Hashem to tell him, "Oh, I changed my mind. Now just kill him."
It's like burning down your Chabad house. Not like your whole life's work.
Yes, but but how was he able to do it? Because he was in a place. He was in a place that's above me and my questions and my logic. It's a place of complete and total surrender.
So far.
It wasn't easy.
Was that
No, he sat on his own donkey. He sat on his own donkey. He woke up early in the morning and sat on his own donkey because this was the rest of Hashem, where it's not about me and my questions and my limitations and my logic, but the true reality, the emes. Chachma is the place of Amunah, and Chachma is the source of Amunah, and Amunah is Amen. Amen is emes. The only true reality is that there's one Eibishter, and who created the world, and he's the only existence because everything else Hashem is recreating every single second in order for it to be here. When I realize that there's only one emes, there's only one truth, and everything else is just completely and totally insignificant, and then all there is Hashem. When you reach that, when you reach that level, and that level is it's something which you have to reveal within us. It comes out comes out. The Tanya said, it comes out automatically in a time of crisis, and we're going to learn how we can access it even in our day-to-day life. That therefore, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what your circumstances, no matter what Yosef's circumstance was, whether he was a slave, whether he was a prisoner, whether he was a Mishnah Melech, it doesn't matter your circumstance. MS is that I'm connected all the way through. It doesn't change. It's not if I buy a shear, then, and if I bring in the animal spiritual, then, okay, when someone's looking, that's when, okay, yeah, I could do all the right things. But if no one's looking and I'm now in a bad environment, then, oh, where's my, if I pluck myself out of the spiritual environment, I put myself somewhere else, okay, then now where's your connection to Hashem? No. Wherever we are, no matter where we are, no matter what the circumstance is, we have the ability to be like Yosef, to connect to the emes, which is Yaakov's midah, which Yosef took a step further. Yaakov was just he was emes, but Yaakov and Yosef is a big difference. Yaakov, even in Lavan's house, he kept all the mitzvahs. Yes, he was emes all the way through, but you can't compare Yaakov to Yosef because Yaakov, he was always an employee. He was never a slave. Yosef was a slave versus Yaakov was an employee. The other difference is that Yaakov worked for a family member who was his uncle, while Yosef worked for strangers. You can't compare working for your uncle and working for Parai. And the third thing was that at the end of the day, Yaakov was a shepherd. And Yosef was not a shepherd. Yosef was very, very busy with the calculations and the logic and the giving out the food and dealing with everything and everybody. So whether even if you're a slave, and even if you have you're ruled by other people, and no matter what the circumstance is, Yosef teaches us that his dvekus to Hashem was not touched because he was living in a place of chachma, a place of amunah, a place of re'iyah. He was able to see the truth. And therefore, when you see the truth, when you see it, no one could convince you otherwise. All the questions, there's no debates and there's no questions when you see the truth. When you see Getlachkeit, when you see from Hashem's perspective, when you see it, then all the questions are irrelevant. And that's the secret. That's Yosef's secret. That's our secret. Our secret is that we want to live on a place that's higher than logic. Hashem, I'm devoted to you. I'm yours. I'm here to serve you. Not about me. It's just about I'm foolish. I don't know anything. I'm not so smart. I'm not so great. I don't know anything. I'm completely batal and humble before you, and I realize that everything is you, and on that level, anything can happen. Hashem could do anything because we're just not governed or limited to the rules of nature. Okay.
Really nice.
Thank you very much.
Hashem.
So if anyone wants to donate to this person, I know personally.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to.
You're more than welcome to.
No, because I'm not sure.
Sure, you can tell me.
Okay, you want to text me?
Yeah.
You should. I don't mind about text.
No, absolutely. You look at phone.
And Khani, maybe we could, we wanna bring the WhatsApp chat for the, I can be involved in WhatsApp, but
Yeah. Okay. Let me just okay. Thank you all for joining us, Tommy and Hindi. Okay.
did that?
The friends of